Boston Celtics get a win. Kristaps Porzingis looks good, and Payton Pritchard steals a show and gets paid. Let's talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. What's your team every day? I'm here for you every day, Monday through Friday, with a free, fresh podcast drop directly to your device if you subscribe. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button, get that show as soon as it drops. Watch the show on YouTube, hop into the comment section. Let me know what you think about the Boston Celtics beating the Philadelphia 76ers. It's always fun to beat the Philadelphia 76ers. 114-106 if you care about the final score, which you don't really in the preseason, except this one. It wasn't about the final score necessarily, just how they got there, which was super cool. Payton Pritchard, which I will talk about in the second segment. Later on, I'll get into some of the other notables, some of the other games that these guys had. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, varying Jrue Holiday came off the bench, varying degrees of success. Obviously, it's the preseason. We're going to start, though, with Kristaps Porzingis' debut. Actually, we're going to start by saying that Gametime is bringing you this episode today. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Get those last-minute tickets on the Gametime app. This was a fun one. I will say, just overall reaction. Just being back in the building, it's nuts. The summer comes and goes, and the season comes along, media day comes along, and there's like this feeling, it's tinged with a little sad. I'm glad that the NBA is back. I'm happy to be back, all of that stuff. But it's like, oh man, the summer's over. It's going to start getting dark soon. You start to get that little like, oh boy, back to work, back to the grind. Then you'll walk into the TD Garden, and standing on the floor, I'm like, oh, I'm like 25% happier than I would be just in any other scenario, just standing here, just being there. So it's a lot of fun. It's like we never left. And then the building was just rocking. I don't know if it's because the Patriots just suck. I'm sorry, man. The Patriots suck. I don't know what the Bruins are supposed to be. The Red Sox have been bad for a little while now. And so it's the Celtics. The Celtics own the city. Like, this is like their city for the taking. You can really kind of get a foothold. This is where, this has been a Patriots town for a long time. But I'm old enough to remember where it wasn't always a Patriots town. The Patriots used to be the laughing stock. First of all, this used to be a Bruins town. Then the Red Sox kind of took over as they were trying to, break the curse and all of that stuff. But different sports have their runs. And this could be a run for the Boston Celtics where this is Boston's best chance at a championship. And I think it's theirs for the taking. And this was just a good start. The crowd went berserk. Mostly because of Payton Pritchard. He just had a monster fourth quarter. But Kristaps Porzingis had a nice debut. Played 24 and a half minutes, 5 of 7 shooting, 17 points, went to the line 8 times. He should have hit more than 5, but whatever. 5 of 8 from the line, 5 rebounds and assists. Overall, a nice little debut for Kristaps Porzingis. Beginning of the game, they work the ball around. It gets into Tatum's hand. He gets a pick from Jaylen Brown, which, hey, yes, pick from Jaylen Brown. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown working off each other, a pick and roll type of situation in like the first game. Sure, let's get more of that. Then a pick comes over from was it Horford, and then it it was Derek White who came over, ghost screen, kind of just ran right past Tatum. Ball goes over to Porzingis. It looks like the entire thing is a design play. It looks like a design play. I'm like, wow, they made it an effort to get to Porzingis right away. And after the game, Porzingis was like, nah, not a design play. I was supposed to stand in the corner. But he did a good job coming up the sideline when that play is developing and Tatum is basically going left to right. You want to give him a better angle to pass, and Porzingis, a natural scorer, natural shooter, instinctively creeps up the sideline. Instead of just standing in the corner, he creeps up the sideline to give Tatum an option for a pass, and he got the ball and he shot it and he hit it. So a nice initial kind of action that got Porzingis a good look. The Celtics, it seemed like they were looking for him. It seemed like they were saying, okay, Kristaps is going to be a huge part of the offense. Let's work it around. Let's get him the ball. Let's find ways to get him the ball. But Porzingis, Joe Mazzulla, everybody after the game was saying, nope, this was all just natural. There are plays where he's an option, obviously, but it was just part of the natural progression. You call a set, and whenever you call a set in the NBA, there are probably 5, 6, 7 options off of that. It's a play, could be a play for Jayson Tatum, but Porzingis is an option depending on how it's played. And then there are options off of that and just keeps building and building and building. But I think the overall thing with Porzingis in this debut, and you don't want to overreact because it's 24 and a half minutes of basketball, right? And then you just 24 and a half minutes against the Philadelphia 76ers with no James Harden, with no Joel Embiid, with a couple other guys out. D'Anthony Melton was out. Who else was out? Somebody else was out. But regardless, Furkan Korkmaz, Montrezl Harrell, I got the list right here. All of those guys were out. Some other guy that I've never heard of. Tobias Harris might as well have been out. I didn't. Tyrese Maxey was great for them, but basically this was half of the Sixers, and so don't want to go too crazy, right? Porzingis against the Sixers with Embiid, who knows? Who knows how that goes? But bottom line is they were really using him well. They use him in a lot of different ways. They use them as a floor spacer out in the corners. They ran pick and roll with him. They ran handoffs with him. He started in the high post. They were just running a lot of different things through Porzingis. He had 1 assist to Jaylen Brown, which was nice. I think overall, Porzingis in his debut was it was very nice. It was a very nice debut, is how I will put it. So I don't want to make too many determinations. He shot the ball well. He hit 5 of 7. He was 2 of 3 from 3. You start to see the potential in these guys offensively because it just adds that layer. He can do a lot. He can hit those shots from the outside, and he can hit with guys in his face. He can make plays. If the passing is there, like I said, he only had 1 assist here, but I think the opportunity for guys to, I think they left some shots out there on the table. And I think when they're fully comfortable, some of those will be taken. Also, Jayson Tatum shot 3 of 13 and 0 of 4 from 3. So a couple of those were assists, probably assists from Kristaps Porzingis. So maybe we'll get to see the potential assists when it's all tallied up tomorrow. But I thought that Porzingis had a nice overall debut. Defensively, still a work in progress. I thought the drop coverage with Porzingis, that's going to be primarily the type of defense that they play. I thought the drop coverage with him needs work. I think sometimes he dropped like way, way back. And once again, we're talking about the Celtics when they go to drop coverage. They got to perfect this because I think that's what helped Tyrese Maxey get going. In the first quarter, he walked into some really easy shots. What do you have in the first quarter? 4 of 6, 2 of 4 from 3, 13 points in the first quarter. He was like a god. And then, in the second quarter, he had another 6 points on 3 of 5 shooting. So he made people just say, "Oh, get whatever you can for James Harden. Forget it. Just give the ball to Tyrese Maxey. You're good." And speaking of which, complete side note, James Harden had like 30 minutes of pregame workout and looked great. I'll talk about that more, I guess, on the Locked On NBA podcast, but he looked great. But I think Porzingis with, if Tatum hits a couple more shots, if a couple other guys are able to hit shots, Jrue Holiday didn't shoot well, 2 of 10. Derek White was 2 of 6. So I think there are assists there. Oh, defensively is what I was saying. Defensively, Porzingis, and he admitted that this after the game, needs a lot of work. The timing, how far to play off the guys, when to be up, when to be back. All of that's a work in progress. So a nice debut. The defense needs work. I think this 3 games in 4 nights that they're playing is kind of crap, and that's going to set them back a little bit because there's no practice tomorrow. They'll go through film, but they also have to travel to New York. So it's a little goofy right now, but I think on the defensive end, they need a bit of work. Offensively, you can see it. I think you can see the potential of that lineup. So I like the debut from Porzingis. The bigger story maybe was Payton Pritchard. Holy crap, what a night for Payton Pritchard. One of maybe his best day in Boston when you factor in the extension that he signed. I'll talk about all of that stuff next. First, today's show is brought to you by the Gametime app. If you've had a very frustrating experience trying to buy tickets, you should try the Gametime app. If you are a Patriots fan and you're thinking, okay, I'm switching to basketball. I haven't thought about buying basketball tickets, but you know what? I'm going to do it now. Get your last minute tickets on the Gametime app. You can get last minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy tickets for any kind of event. Maybe you're giving up sports altogether and you want to say, all right, when the Celtics aren't playing, I'm going to go to the theater. Whatever it is, music venue. You can view all the seats from the venue, and with the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, you are going to be comfortable buying tickets from the Gametime app. See the view from your seat. That's the important thing. Like, you don't know, maybe you want to go to a new city and you want to go to an arena. Maybe you want to go to Memphis and see Marcus Smart, and you don't know what it's like in the FedEx Forum over there. Use the Gametime app. You get to see the venue. So Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, even up to an hour after it starts. So if you're finding last minute seats, Gametime app is the way to go. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA. Locked, LOCKED, on NBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make sure you're listening to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast. Josh Lloyd is an absolute god when it comes to fantasy basketball. You want to win your league, you got to listen to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast. It's as simple as that. He is going to help you win your league. No doubt about that for me. Let's get back to the conversation here about this game here. Payton Pritchard was actually like the hero of the game. He ends up leading the team in scoring, probably because he gets to play more than anybody else. Well, 23 minutes, actually. Tatum played almost 27. Jaylen played just about 26. Derek White played 25. Pritchard played 23. Sam Hauser played 23. That's Jrue Holiday played 21. So Pritchard gets the same opportunity as everybody. He couldn't miss. He comes in. Well, I shouldn't say couldn't miss because he missed a couple right away. But then after that, he couldn't miss, including a half-court shot where the Celtics were down by, at that point, 13 maybe, 10, 14. He had a 4-point play, kind of get the Celtics back into things. Then the Celtics had a big second quarter, and Pritchard was a big part of that with his shooting. And I just think Pritchard just was very, just in terms of impacting the game, very important for the Celtics, making a big statement. We talk about the Celtics are going to watch this preseason. They're going to watch the early season. They're going to figure out where the weaknesses are on this team, what needs to be addressed. Well, Pritchard's making the point that, hey, you don't need to address the guard issue because I'm here. I'm doing what I do. He shot the lights out. He led the game with 26 points, 6 of 11 from 3, 9 of 14 overall. He also had 4 assists, only 2 turnovers, throwing a couple of rebounds, throwing a couple of free throws. It's just an amazing game from Pritchard, who before the game signed a 4-year, $30 million extension. So he's going to be making a little over almost $7.5 million a year. That is after this season. So he doesn't have to deal with restricted free agency. He doesn't have to deal with any of that crap. I'm going to say he's here. He's got long-term security as far as money. The Celtics really could use a guy who makes $7 million when trade season comes around. That's going to be big, but it's a nice reward. It's fair money for what Pritchard brings. And I think it's a commitment to Pritchard at the very least. Firstly, they believe in him, right? They believe enough in him to say, we're going to give him this amount of money. You give a guy a contract with the notion of we're going to assume that he's here the entire time, right? You can say, hey, we're going to make trades and it's impossible for everybody to be here the whole time, but you don't sign a guy and then say, we're definitely trading him, because you never know what the future is going to bring. So you sign a guy to this 4 years and you say, hey, if we're going to keep him for 4 years, we got to be happy with this. And they're going to be happy with that, him making $7.5 million a year, average annual value. So that's number one. But number two, they could use that. That's a nice piece to match salaries. So there's also that element. But Pritchard, I think, is making a strong case for, when you evaluate what the Celtics have, you can go with Holiday and White and feel good about Pritchard kind of getting you through the regular season. And in spots in the postseason, hey, maybe he comes in, he changes the energy here and there, but he was out there doing what he does. And he had the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was not just big because he had 16 points and the crowd was going nuts. It felt like it was the spring and not the fall in there. It was like postseason. It was great the place was going crazy. But it's not just like cool for Pritchard to be getting MVP chance at the free throw line. You got Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis on the bench, and they're like, oh my God, listen to this crowd. It's the preseason. Where has Kristaps Porzingis gone where the crowd is that loud, right? New York, Madison Square Garden. But those teams are like, he wasn't on world-beating teams. He has almost no playoff experience. So to be on this Celtics team in a preseason game, Porzingis is like looking around saying, wow, listen to these people. After the game, he was asked about the crowd, and he just started smiling. Now, either he is the best actor in the world, or he genuinely was like, wow. He's kind of gushing a little bit, and he's saying something like, yeah, it was amazing. And when Payton Pritchard was going off, and then he kind of pauses, he goes, huh, I'm very happy to be a Celtics. I'll just tell you that. Like, or I'm not going to lie. It's like he couldn't find the right words to say, but he was so happy in that moment where he's just like, you know what? All I can tell you is I'm very happy to be here. And, that what Pritchard did, it didn't matter. Like, who cares if they won this game? The final score is the final score, but who gives a damn about that final score other than gamblers who had the Celtics giving up 5 points and the Celtics win by 8. So the gamblers are happy. If you're betting preseason, hey, great, good for you. You win. But showing these guys that, hey, you go out there, you run, you work hard, you hit some of those big shots, you go on a roll, you get that tough and one, you show like that emotion, play with that chip on your shoulder. It shows Porzingis and Jrue Holiday that, man, this place, as the kids say, it's different. It's built different. But in reality, it is built different. It is different in Boston. You got to be prepared, man. It's different in Boston. So shout out to Payton Pritchard for having this amazing game, this amazing fourth quarter, for getting the crowd whipped into this frenzy, for showing these new guys this is what it's like when you're busting your butt and you're producing out there. It's Payton Pritchard continues to just make the case. Hey, I hear you talking, and even I'll say it. Like I still like he does have his obvious limitations, but it's undeniable. The dude has that thing where he finds a way and he makes a positive impact. Somehow he makes a positive impact on a basketball team at that size, and he's just making another strong case. Let's get to some of the other notables and that game on Monday night. We'll talk about that in just a second. First, today's show is brought to you by Jase Medical. Jase Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. Are you traveling? Are you putting yourself in a situation, camping, some way where you're not close to medical help? You're not close to a doctor. Maybe you're somewhere where your medical help is just a lot tougher. You go ahead and you get yourself the Jase Case. You get ongoing care from the folks at Jase Medical. This is doctor created, doctor recommended. You're never going to be caught unprepared. If you need antibiotics to just get you through until the emergency passes, until you can find your way to medical help, that's what the Jase Case does. It gives you that peace of mind. So go online, you fill out a form, you get your prescription, life-saving medications delivered directly to your door. You might have to answer a couple of questions. You might have to talk to a doctor depending on what your answers to the questions are, but the process is super simple. I got my Jase Case really, really quick. I answered a few questions and all of a sudden approved. So go check it out. Go to Jase Medical, JASE medical.com. You get $20 off these life-saving antibiotics by using the code Locked On. Locked On at checkout at jasemedical.com, JASE medical.com. Use the code Locked On for $20 off. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Check out the Locked On NBA podcast. I'm hosting on Wednesdays with Jake Madison of the Locked On Pelicans podcast. So we're covering the league in a fun, informative way. So check us out every week. Rotating hosts every Monday through Friday. Like I said, I got the Wednesday show. So that's a lot of fun over there. All right, let's run down some of these other performances here. Jrue Holiday started on the bench. Don't read anything into that. The Celtics, Joe Mazzulla swears when he had practice on Saturday, we asked him, should we read anything into your starting lineups? And he was like, no, please don't. Please, please, please. And then I tried to joke with him after the game. And I said, well, obviously the most important question is about your starting lineup. And he just stared at me. I'm like, okay. I thought you'd kind of at least find that humorous after begging us not to overreact to your starting lineup. I thought he'd be like, oh, come on, John. Nothing. He gave me nothing. So Holiday comes off the bench, shoots 2 of 10, not a big deal, right? 5 rebounds, 2 steals, an assist. But he was okay. He was okay. Yeah, he didn't make a big tremendous impact. He's had 3 practices. The trade happened. He was in Boston for media day. It was not official on that Tuesday, so he practiced Wednesday, Thursday. Friday was off. I'm sure he did something. Saturday was another practice, and then now here's a game. So he hasn't. It's not like he was Kristaps Porzingis, who was in town, right? 2 weeks, whatever it was, before camp started. He was in communication with the Celtics coaches. He was getting, I'm sure, the entire game plan. This is what we want you to do. This is how we want you to do it. And he can start visualizing and practicing and start gearing his workouts towards things that the Celtics wanted him to do, because that trade happened so early in the process. Holiday, it happened this week. He hasn't had any real meaningful time to go through all of this stuff and take it all in and process it and say, this is what I'm supposed to do. He hasn't had any time to work with these guys. It's just been a whirlwind. Come in and, try to get your family settled and all of that. It's crazy. So don't read too much into him coming off the bench. I'm going to look. There was very little time with the lineup that I think is going to be the starting lineup, which is Holiday and White together with Jaylen and Jayson and Kristaps Porzingis at center. Porzingis and Al played together a bit. Porzingis loves it. He said, I really love playing next to Al Horford. So maybe that factors into what the starting lineup decision is going to be. But Holiday is still an incomplete here. He hit one big step back shot. He had a couple of really nice defensive plays. So you see the potential in Jrue Holiday there, but incomplete for him. Jaylen Brown, a nice game. He had a personal 9-0 run in the third quarter where it felt like maybe the Celtics were, actually trying to win. Like they were trying to win the game through 3 quarters when the regulars came out, right? They wanted to go out there and finish off that game, the game within the game, 3 quarters of when the regulars were in there. So Jaylen's 9-0 run really helped the Celtics kind of get that. But also at the same time, Jaylen's handle still looks bad. It just looks bad. Like how many times is he going to drive and just get stripped? I felt confident, and it's only one game. It's only one game, so I'm not going to overreact. Except it's been a recurring problem. So I would have hoped that the first game back wasn't going to be some big kind of this it's still the same thing. He's down. He's in the books for 2 turnovers, but it felt like more. Maybe a couple times he got stripped, but then fouled. Either way, I'm hoping that this was just an aberration and that he is feeling much better about his handle. But God, I just hope he did so many good things, and then the handle. I really just don't want this to be a storyline for him this season. Jayson Tatum didn't shoot well, but decent all around game. 10 rebounds, 5 assists, the steal. He still had a positive impact on the game. I think there's a lot to be encouraged by with Tatum. I think he was just playing stronger in this game. So let's see how it goes. Derek White, fine. He was fine. Couldn't, like I said, 2 of 6, but he hits one more shot. All of a sudden, he shot 50%. So not going to overreact to that. I think in general, Derek White looks like he's fine. Payton Pritchard, I talked about. Sam Hauser couldn't hit a damn thing. Couldn't hit a thing. He's 0 of 6. Don't want to see that. Who else we got? Al Horford looked good, young, spry. Same old Al. These other guys, I think we're going to start to see a little bit more opportunity as far as this Monday night game goes with the Knicks. I don't think we see Porzingis. I don't think we see Al Horford. I think those guys are locks to miss, because why would you? I'm not even going to tempt fate. Porzingis has he's fine. Everything seems fine, but you don't want to tempt the injury gods with the plantar fasciitis. And, he had a couple of landings there where I was like, ooh, did he? Oh, he's okay. Okay, great. So I think those two guys are going to miss, which means some of the guys that didn't play, Wenyen Gabriel, you're going to Nemayesh Keita, those guys might see some time. Luke Cornett's going to see more time. I think Payton Pritchard's going to definitely play. Hauser's going to play. You're going to see more Brissett, who was pretty good in the fourth quarter. Now, it's funny. Brissett ends up a plus 14 because he was on the floor for most of Payton Pritchard's 16-point outburst in the fourth quarter. So, hey, positive minutes for Moshe Brissett. I think his plus-minus benefits from Pritchard. But Brissett will play more. Delano Banton will play some. Lamar Stevens, we saw a couple minutes from him. I think he had the dunk that was an offensive foul that would have been really, really cool if that wasn't an offensive foul. I'll say Joe Mazzulla is an absolute maniac for challenging a play with a minute and a half to go in a preseason game. What are you, nuts? Everybody's looking around like, come on, Joe, please. I think even the refs were like, no, we're not doing this. They look at the replay for like 2 seconds. They're like, nah, foul. I don't think they wanted to do that. They were ready to go. So, but that was funny. That was a funny moment. So we didn't see J.D. Davison, Wenyen Gabriel, Shvi Mikhailuk, Nemayesh Keita, Jordan Walsh. Jay Scrubb, unfortunately, tore his ACL in practice, so he's done. He was on a 2-way contract. So that's a shame for him. So we won't see him at all. So I don't know if I would assume that at least 4, if not all 5 starters sit. I think we'll see some more Holiday because I think they want him to get a little bit more acclimated. We'll see maybe another. He only played 21 minutes, so maybe you see 15 to 20 minutes of Holiday just kind of running an offense with some of these other guys just to get used to running the Celtics offense. So we might see that, but get ready for Cornette, Pritchard, Hauser, Brissett, Banton, Stevens, all these other guys playing bigger minutes against the New York Knicks. But overall, my final assessment is nice debut for Porzingis. Not bad. I don't think I'm not going to worry about the missed shots necessarily for a lot of these guys because it's the first preseason game. I agree with Joe Mazzulla's post-game assertion that essentially he said, we played the right way. We tried to do the right things. The execution wasn't great, but the intent was there. I do agree with that. I think the intent was certainly there. I thought they did try to do the right things. I don't think they came in and I think they took this seriously. So nice debut, nice preseason opening, lots to work on, but a couple of nice headlines, and you got a pretty good debut out of Kristaps Porzingis. I think the biggest thing is everybody comes out healthy. Porzingis looks good. Pritchard gets paid. Pritchard has one of his big preseason performances, and we're on to New York. So I want to thank you for listening. Again, post-game podcasts all season long. So when they play on a Friday or Saturday, when I don't normally record, I will record a post-game podcast. It might be a little shorter. I can be a little bit more, I can just kind of give you some bonus content there, but you will get post-game podcasts every game this season. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch the show on YouTube. Make sure you are checking the show out there. Hop into the comment section. Let me know what you thought of the game. Let me know what you thought of my assessment, all of that stuff. And I would love it if you are with me every day. And shout out to all the people who came and said hi. I love it. If you're listening and you're here and you want to come say hi, if you're at the game, you want to say hi, please come by and say hi. I love to meet all of you. And I would also love it if you shared the podcast. Spread the word. Tell your friends. Tell them they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.